Hi, Sean. How are you?
Good, Adam. How are you?
Good, thanks. Since we had Ravens Steelers today, I just have a couple of general COVID-related questions.
Okay.
I believe since the start of the season, among players, you guys have had 3 positive tests. I guess relative to what's going on, speaking about your own team, what's been the key to that relative success?
I just think decision making, in particular outside the building, by our players and our staff, for that matter. So, never want to have any positive cases, that is. And but yeah, I would say the discipline and the DNA, the character of the guys, and then also it extends to our staff too, right? Making good decisions outside the building. So I would say that is the biggest thing that comes to mind.
And just looking at what's happened, with the 3 postponements of this particular game today, playing it on a Wednesday afternoon, looking at the situation in Baltimore from where you sit, what is your reaction when you see that?
Yeah, you know what? I think it's to be expected. This is a season of firsts. It's a season of adjustments, and I think that's really where we are, and that's been shown over the course of the season. So, outside of that, Adam, I really just focus on what we're doing inside of our building here.
All right, that'll do it. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it.
Okay, sure.
Hey, Sean, John Warrow, AP. How you doing?
Good, John. How are you?
Good. Just, I guess, to start off, speaking of COVID, I'm not sure if it affects your team as much as it does the Niners and having to switch and having to travel to Arizona. But for you, how does it, people are, obviously making note of the fact that this is where the so-called scene of the crime took place. And you're going back to a place where, DeAndre Hopkins made that Hail Mary catch. Is there any significance to that?
Yeah, no, we're playing the 49ers. One game does not affect another game. So we're focused on the 49ers and continue to grow as an offense, defense, and special teams unit. That's what we're going hard at this weekend.
Gotcha. Just switching over to AJ Klein, what has sparked his production over the past couple of games, and what do you see from him that maybe is different or the same from your time with him in Carolina?
Yeah, it's really the same. That's the type of player. The last several weeks of his production, his performance. I know you guys are all writing about it, but that's really what I was around in Carolina with AJ, and he's a good football player, and he's done a great job for us this season, and I think he's playing very confident and comfortable right now, which is good to see.
Yeah, and lastly on AJ, fair to say that maybe it took him a while to get up to speed to what this defense is, given the uncertainty, given what happened, the altered offseason, and it looks like he's thinking less and playing with more, more instinctually.
Yeah, I don't think we need to get too into the weeds on it here. I just think he's a good football player, and he's confident. And maybe perhaps to your point, it did take some time to get back and acclimate himself to the defense again. And so he's, like I said, he's been playing at a high level of late.
Thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Hi, Sean.
Hey, Vic.
Sean, obviously year over year, it's 8-3 and 8-3, but would it be fair to say that, or in your view, is this team, this current edition of the team, how has it improved over last year's team, and perhaps what makes it different from last year's team beyond the obvious new faces that are in the lineup?
Listen, every year is different. Every year is a new team, and so I like where we are. I like the way we're improving through the course of the season. I think, like there always is, there's a gap between where we are and where we're trying to get to, and I think that's having the right attitude. That's being curious about how we can close that gap, being curious about chasing excellence, and so knowing that we'll never get there, but we're always in pursuit of it. I think that's a healthy approach, and that's really where we are at this year's team. Last year is in the past.
Right, and I know that, but I also know that you study everything as you should. But have you asked yourself any of those questions that in measurement on a team year to year or week to week basis, that you're in the same spot you were a year ago, but can you say this is what we know about ourselves that can allow us to obviously your goal is to improve on it, but make those improvements as you break it down. Have you looked at it in that detail to the extent of comparing the two?
I think I know where you're going a little bit, Vic. I just, I'm a big believer, as you know, in process. I'm a big believer in each team is different because of the personalities that of the people that make up the team each year. So I'm a big believer in trying to put our team this year, like I was last year, and in a position to be successful. And I think we've got to continue to do that week in, week out with game plans, week in and week out with how we handle our schedule, and in particular down the stretch here. So, I think, the biggest thing is again, being healthy and playing our best football here down the stretch.
Thank you, Sean.
Sure.
Morning, Sean.
Good morning, Sal.
If I could ask you about Zack Moss, it looked like last weekend, he had a nice game, obviously, but it also looked like that might have been the game where he looked the most confident running the ball, where he needed to run the ball, how to read the blocks. I mean, did you come away from the film on that game? Am I off base there, or do you think that might have been, the biggest step he's taken this year?
Well, I think with a lot of young players, Zach in this case, among others, you're seeing them develop, and that's a credit to them and a credit to the coaches. It takes time, and to get comfortable with not only what we're doing, but the NFL, the game of the NFL, or the NFL game, and I really think that's about it. Honestly, you see the same with guys like AJ Epenesa, and some others, Tyler Bass. I mean, all these young guys are really starting to develop, and they're showing signs of becoming who we thought they could become, and that again is just a credit to the players and the staff.
And we've heard all our lives following football, some longer than others, about how running backs need to get into that rhythm. That one guy, that Derrick Henry, is getting 25 carries a game. Do you think any of your struggles running the ball this season might have to do with the fact that you've had two guys who have really kind of shared the load and maybe never quite get that rhythm in game?
That sounds like something rhythm and like cosmic astrology type stuff you're trying to make me get into here, man. I just like to be in Buffalo right here talking to Sal. No, I mean, listen, when you get the opportunity, you got to make the most of it, and that's the bottom line. And I know both of those guys are eager, and they put in a lot of work during the week, and they get the result on the weekend, and because they put the work in during the week. So I really appreciate their toughness and their unselfishness at times.
Okay, thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, how are you?
Good, Josh. How are you?
Good. Hey, Matt Milano, obviously some big news this morning. Going to be able to practice, it looks like. How optimistic are you, for Monday?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we just got to take it one day at a time. He's been out a number of weeks, Josh, as you know. So really encouraged by the way he's worked and the work that he's put in with our medical team to get back. And I think today will be a good look-see at where he is really, and how he comes back tomorrow again will be another tell for us also.
We flipped the calendar to December now. Secondary is completely healthy for the most part. Tremaine Edmonds looks like he's as healthy as he's been. Milano might be getting back to the lineup. Is this where you want to be as we hit December?
It is. Yeah, it's been a journey like it is for every team. Every team has injuries. Seems like every team's dealt with COVID in some way, shape, or form. So real proud of the guys, real proud of our staff and the medical team. And again, how they're working hard to get back. The guys that are out are busting their tails to get back to help us, which is important.
And one last one. I know it's a road game, still going to Arizona, but is there at least the slightest advantage having just played there a couple of weeks ago, even if it's just kind of the surroundings and knowing the stadium?
Yeah, I'll leave that up to you and Sal to hash that out.
We will. We'll get out our astronomy books.
There you go. Thanks, Josh.
Hey, Sean, Thad Brown. I wanted to go back to the Ravens-Steelers game today because you're one of the few people in the world that can really kind of speak to this. You know, what is it like to be the Steelers where you don't have the COVID issue and you're just going through delay after delay after delay, and finally today you wake up and it's a game day? What is it like to do that and then be in that situation today?
Yeah, I think we were one of the first teams to go through it, so it was more unique then, Thad, I would say, than it may be now because there's been multiple games, pushed back and whatnot. I think that was week 5 for us, and we're in week 12 or so here. So, yeah, I mean, it's you take them as they come, and you trust that the NFL is going to put you in the right position to keep everybody safe, and I think they've done that. So overall, it's you play when and where you're supposed to play, and I know those are 2 good teams led by 2 great head coaches that'll both have their teams ready.
How much does it or did it take out of you? And I ask this because I know you're focused on the Niners, but the Steelers are the next game up, and for you guys, it was a 2-week process where you had one game delayed, then a second game delayed. Does it take a chunk out of you as a team to have to go through that?
I think that, that I don't know if that's been measured necessarily. I think that's something after the season that the statisticians can go back and look at all the people that were affected and maybe come up with some tendencies there. But let's hope we don't have to draw on those tendencies as we look into next season, right? And so I think that's the biggest thing is that I feel, good that hopefully as a world and a country that we're starting to, see the light at the end of the tunnel here, and just hope everyone can continue to stay safe.
I'm sure you're pretty busy on a Wednesday afternoon, but do you watch the game today?
We'll see. I try and keep myself pretty disciplined and focus on us. I'm sure it'll be a great game, though.
Thanks, Sean.
Sure.
All right, we're going to switch to San Francisco media here, and we're going to start with Matt with NBC Sports.
Hey, Sean, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thanks. Hey, I want to take you back to January of 2017. What did you learn about the 49ers organization and what they were trying to build through that process that you went through here with them?
Yeah, you're thorough in your research. Really enjoyed my interaction with them. You could tell that they were headed in the right direction, just philosophically, how they wanted to do it, and I had a lot of respect for my interaction with them, and I thought it was a very positive interaction, just in terms of that, and probably, and like I said, a very thorough approach by them, and a very long interview process there. So, again, I think that they came out with 2 great candidates in Kyle and John, obviously, and what they've been able to do and build there.
It would appear that they were pretty much on the same page as you guys are there in Buffalo, with you mentioning Kyle and John, you and Brandon. How important is that working relationship with, and is it even more important now that you've been in it for several years and you kind of see how the whole process has to work?
With respect to head coach and GM, you mean? Or?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's everyone has a different philosophy on it. I'm sure my philosophy and our philosophy here is that you got to be aligned and on the same page. It doesn't mean you have to agree on everything. That's probably not even a healthy approach, to agree on everything. But and then you got to be able to tell the truth to one another, and still know that we're keeping the goal in mind, right, of the vision that we said we wanted to build, and so it looks like, again, that they've done that at a high level, and that's what we're trying to do here also.
Yeah, and finally, just how long does it take for a coach and a GM working together to get it the way you want to have it?
Yeah, it takes a number of years, and again, it depends on where the team is when you take it over, I think, too, where the team is in terms of, having developed some of their draft picks by that point, where the team is cap wise by that point, what they have in draft capital moving forward, where they are at the quarterback position. So those are a lot of things that I think can give a feel for where an organization is and how long it may take to get it to where it needs to be.
All right. Thank you, John.
Yeah, sure.
Hi, Jennifer Lee Chan with NBC area. Deebo Samuel's back in the mix last week. What has impressed you most about what he can do on the field?
Yeah, very, very explosive player. Know Deebo going through the draft process a few years ago, and dynamic players, strong, great balance. Takes that physical approach into the wide receiver position, and he's very difficult with the ball in his hands. And you saw the play last week when there's 4 Rams around him, and on what seemed to be a 4-yard gain, maybe 5-yard gain, he turned it into a 11+ yard gain, 15, 20 yards down the field. So very, very dynamic player.
What stood out to you about him in the draft process?
Well, just that, honestly. You saw the ability with the ball in his hand. You saw he was down the road at South Carolina there, so I was able to catch him a little bit just going through the overlap there and from where I was and where I came from. But they spoke very highly about him, and just an all-around good football player.
And looking at how many pieces that they've lost on the offense, the way that man has been able to kind of still make it work, what does that say to you about what he can do?
He's one of the best coaches in the NFL.